There is a kind of elegance that cannot be worn, purchased, or performed. It is the quiet grace of choosing not to step into the mud, even when the world tries to pull you in. Negativity is a trap designed to pull you into battles that do not belong to you. It is a subtle force that creeps in quietly, wearing the disguise of concern, curiosity, or confrontation. Very often it arrives in the form of someone's tone, someone's attitude, or someone's unresolved pain that they attempt to hand over to you. And before you even realize it, you find yourself defending, explaining, reacting, or absorbing emotions that never originated from your own heart. This is how negativity works. It seeks to recruit you. It wants to pull you into storms that were never yours to enter. When a person carries chaos within them, they look for places to unload it. When they cannot hold their frustration, they look for a target. When they cannot understand their own feelings, they search for someone to blame. And the moment you react, the moment you engage, you become a participant in a story that has nothing to do with your own truth. You become part of a narrative that was created long before you arrived. This is the very nature of negativity. It invites you into an argument that was happening internally for someone else long before they tried to include you. The trap is not always loud. It does not always scream, and it does not always show its full intention. Sometimes it comes as a question meant to provoke. Sometimes as a comment meant to belittle. Sometimes as a situation designed to test your patience. Negativity can be quiet, gentle even, but it always has the same goal: to pull you into a realm where your peace cannot follow. It wants to drag you into a battlefield where the weapons are words, the wounds are emotional, and the outcome is always the same. Your energy becomes drained, your spirit becomes heavy, and your clarity becomes clouded. But the secret is this: you do not have to step into every war you are invited to. There is power in seeing negativity for what it is: a distraction, a detour, a doorway leading you away from your purpose. When someone tries to provoke you, they are not trying to understand you. They are trying to engage you. They are trying to create a reaction that gives them control, satisfaction, or justification. The moment you respond with anger, fear, or frustration, you give them the power to shape your emotional landscape. You hand over your peace in exchange for a temporary reaction that solves nothing. Negativity thrives only when fed. It relies on your participation, your energy, and your emotional involvement. When you refuse to engage, the trap collapses. The energy has nowhere to land, no fuel to grow, no doorway to walk through. Silence becomes your shield. Distance becomes your protection. Wisdom becomes your guide. Understand this deeply. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every comment requires a reply. Not every insult deserves a defense. When you learn to separate your identity from the projections of others, you become free. You begin to understand that their anger is not your responsibility. Their bitterness is not your burden, and their drama is not your mission. You are allowed to walk away from situations that threaten your peace. You are allowed to choose clarity over chaos and calm over conflict. You are allowed to refuse involvement in conversations built on judgment, assumptions, and hostility. Walking away does not mean you are weak. It means you are wise enough to recognize the cost of staying. And here is the truth many people never realize: negativity often intensifies right before it loses its power. When someone notices that their usual tactics no longer affect you, they may try harder. They may become louder, more dramatic, more demanding. But this is only a sign that your refusal to engage is working. Your peace is unsettling to those who depend on your reaction. Your calm is threatening to those who need conflict to feel in control. But your silence is not only protection, it is transformation. By choosing not to step into battles that are not yours, you reclaim your emotional space. You reclaim your time, your mindset, your energy. You become someone who responds only to what aligns with your values, not what provokes your emotions. You begin to see that maturity is not reacting instantly. Strength is not arguing louder. Power is not proving your point to someone committed to misunderstanding you. Power is choosing your battles with intention. Power is knowing that peace is priceless. Power is understanding that negativity cannot reach a heart that refuses to open its doors to it. When you stop engaging in negativity, you begin to live from a place of softness that cannot be shaken. You begin to cultivate inner stillness, a quiet confidence that does not depend on the approval or reactions of others. You begin to rise above circumstances that once consumed you. And most importantly, you begin to create a life rooted in emotional clarity, not emotional chaos. The trap of negativity loses its grip the moment you decide you are no longer a participant, the moment you decide that your energy is sacred, the moment you understand that the cost of involvement is far too high. There will always be people who try to bait you into conflict, who try to lure you into arguments, who try to pull you into their unresolved wounds, but you are not obligated to join them there. Your life is not meant to be lived in constant defense mode. Your spirit is not meant to shrink every time someone throws their anger in your direction. Your mind is not meant to be cluttered by battles that have no meaning to your purpose. So when negativity calls your name, do not answer. When conflict invites you in, do not walk through the door. When someone hands you their bitterness, do not accept it. You are not required to fight every fight. You are not required to prove your worth in every conversation. You are not required to lower your frequency to match someone else's storm. Negativity is a trap, but only for those who step into it. You have the right, the wisdom, and the strength to rise above it every single time. Silence is a form of strength, not surrender. It is the quiet, steady power that does not need to announce itself to be felt. Silence has a way of revealing truth, of uncovering intentions, and of showing who holds control in a moment. Many people misunderstand silence as weakness, as if the one who does not speak is the one who has lost. But silence is not the absence of power. It is the presence of discipline. It is the choice to rise above what does not deserve a reaction. When you choose silence, you are not giving in. You are stepping out. You are refusing to participate in negativity, refusing to fuel conflict, refusing to let someone else dictate the state of your heart. Silence becomes your shield. It protects your energy when words would only drain it. It protects your dignity when anger might stain it. And it protects your peace when chaos tries to invade it. There is a kind of silence that speaks louder than shouting. It says, I see what is happening and I will not be moved. It says, I value my peace more than this argument. It says, I am not here to fight battles that do not matter. It is silence that refuses to let someone pull you into their emotional storm. It is silence that refuses to let provocation guide your actions. You must understand that not every situation deserves your voice. Not every insult needs a reply. Not every challenge needs a response. Sometimes the greatest power you can show is choosing not to engage. Because when you do not react, you keep control. You remain the author of your own emotions, not a character in someone else's drama. People who lack inner peace are often threatened by silence. They expect you to react, to argue, to defend, to explain. They want your energy because your reaction feeds them. Your silence starves them. Your stillness unsettles them. And your refusal to engage forces them to face themselves instead of distracting themselves through conflict. Silence also clarifies intentions. When you do not respond, you see who grows frustrated. You see who pushes harder. You see who tries to provoke you again and again. Their behavior becomes a mirror of their character, and your silence becomes a mirror of your strength. In that quiet space, the truth becomes undeniable. The one who remains calm holds the real power. There are moments in life when speaking would only add noise to a situation already drowning in it. Words can escalate what silence could dissolve. Words can damage what silence could protect. Words can turn small misunderstandings into large battles. Silence, on the other hand, creates space. Space to breathe, space to think, space to choose your response instead of reacting out of emotion. Silence does not mean you do not care. It means you care enough about yourself to choose peace. It means you care about the moment enough to not poison it with words you cannot take back. It means you care about your energy enough to protect it from those who do not deserve it. There is wisdom in knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Speaking is easy. Silence takes courage. Anyone can shout, anyone can argue, anyone can let anger drive their voice. But it takes true strength to hold your tongue, to wait, to observe, to choose calm over chaos. Silence requires emotional maturity, something not everyone possesses, but something everyone respects when they see it. Silence also communicates boundaries. It says, I am not available for this kind of energy. It says, if you cannot speak with respect, you will not have access to me. It says, my peace is not negotiable. Without explaining anything, without justifying anything, your silence becomes the line no one can cross. It shows that you know your worth and that you do not waste it on situations built on negativity. In a world that constantly demands reactions, silence becomes a rebellion, a quiet revolution that protects your inner world, a choice that keeps your mind clear and your heart steady. It teaches you self-control. It teaches you patience. It teaches you how to rise above misunderstandings, insults, and provocations. When life feels overwhelming, silence grounds you. When someone tries to pull you into conflict, silence frees you. When your emotions feel loud, silence helps you hear yourself again. It is not an escape, it is a return to clarity, to inner strength, to the calm center within you that nothing outside can disturb unless you allow it. Silence is not the hiding place of the weak. It is the sanctuary of the wise. It is where you gather your strength, where you protect your dignity, where you prepare your next step with intention instead of impulse. It is where you choose your battles with care and walk away from the ones that cost too much of your soul. Silence is not surrender, it is mastery. The mastery of self, of emotion, of inner peace. It is what allows you to remain unshaken in a world filled with noise. It is what separates those who react from those who lead. It is what transforms you into someone who cannot be easily disturbed, provoked, or manipulated. Silence is strength, the kind that does not shout, does not boast, does not demand attention, but still commands respect. Walking away preserves your dignity and protects your peace. It is one of the most misunderstood acts of strength, often mistaken for fear, avoidance, or defeat. But walking away is not the action of someone who has lost. It is the choice of someone who understands that not every situation is worth staying for. Not every argument is worth fighting, and not every person deserves access to their emotional world. Walking away is the moment you choose yourself over chaos, your peace over conflict, your growth over stagnation. There comes a point where remaining in certain environments becomes too costly. The price becomes your self-respect, your sanity, your energy, and sometimes even your identity. When you stay somewhere your spirit is shrinking, you teach the world that your boundaries are negotiable. But when you walk away, you show that your worth is non-negotiable. You show that you refuse to be mistreated, manipulated, or drained just to keep a situation alive. You show that peace is more valuable to you than proximity. Walking away is an act of clarity, the moment you finally see things as they are, not as you hoped they would be. You stop giving excuses for behavior that continuously disrespects you. You stop holding on to potential when the reality continues to harm you. You stop sacrificing your emotional well-being for people who would never make the same sacrifice for you. You stop waiting for change that never comes. And you finally realize that the only power you truly have is the power to leave. This is where dignity comes in. Dignity is not something others give you. It is something you claim. It is choosing not to argue with someone committed to misunderstanding you. It is choosing not to beg for the bare minimum from people who happily take your maximum. It is choosing not to explain yourself to those who do not listen. It is choosing not to involve yourself in battles that only bruise your soul. When you walk away, you protect the quiet dignity within you that says, "I deserve better than this." Peace is fragile, and the world will attempt to steal it from you in many ways. Through conflict that drains your energy, through conversations that end in circles, through people who thrive on drama, tension, and emotional instability, through environments that leave you exhausted rather than uplifted. The moment you walk away, you cut the cord that connects you to emotional chaos. You stop allowing negativity to have a space in your mind. You free yourself from cycles that once felt unbreakable. Walking away is not always easy. It requires courage to step out of the familiar, even when the familiar is painful. It requires strength to detach from what you once worked hard to maintain. It requires self-respect to accept that some people cannot meet you where you are going. It requires maturity to let go of what weighs you down instead of dragging it with you. But in that moment of walking away, you reclaim your power piece by piece. Sometimes walking away is not a dramatic exit. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it is choosing not to return a call. Sometimes it is releasing the need to explain. Sometimes it is letting silence be the end of a story that has already ended inside your heart. Sometimes it is simply stepping back from conversations that turn toxic every time. It is not about abandoning people. It is about refusing to abandon yourself. Walking away teaches you lessons that staying never could. It teaches you how to honor your emotions, how to listen to your intuition, how to trust your inner voice when it whispers, "This is no longer good for you." It teaches you how to detach without bitterness, how to leave without hatred, and how to move forward without carrying the past like a chain around your spirit. It also teaches others how to treat you. When people see that you are willing to walk away from disrespect, they learn that your boundaries are real. They learn that you do not cling to situations that violate your spirit. They learn that you expect respect, not as a gift, but as a requirement. Walking away sets a standard that words alone could never communicate. More than anything, walking away opens the door to better things, healthier relationships, kinder environments, opportunities that align with your spirit, and peace that finally feels steady. You cannot receive what is meant for you while holding on to what was meant to teach you. And sometimes the greatest lesson is learning when to leave. Walking away preserves what makes you whole: your dignity, your voice, your sanity, your joy. It protects the part of you that is soft, gentle, loving, and strong. It keeps your heart open for people who know how to hold it with care. It keeps your path clear for experiences that uplift rather than diminish you. Walking away is not running from something, it is running toward yourself. It is choosing peace over pressure, clarity over confusion, self-respect over self-sacrifice. It is the moment you choose to honor your worth by refusing to remain where your soul is not valued. And that choice, quiet, powerful, unwavering, is what transforms your entire life. Your non-reaction forces others to confront their own chaos. It is a truth many people never understand because they are too accustomed to living in a world where every provocation creates a response and every conflict becomes a performance. But when you choose not to react, when you choose stillness over anger, silence over argument, calm over chaos, something powerful happens. You stop being a participant in their inner turmoil and you become a mirror instead. A mirror that reflects back everything they have been trying to run from. People who thrive on conflict rely on your reaction to escape their own emotional instability. They depend on your frustration to validate their behavior. They need your anger to justify their own. Your reaction becomes their distraction. It gives them something external to blame instead of facing what is happening inside them. When you refuse to react, you take that escape route away. You leave them standing alone with the very emotions they tried to project onto you. And that silence, that stillness, becomes louder than any argument you could ever start. Your non-reaction is not passive, it is deeply active. It disrupts the pattern they are familiar with. When someone expects you to respond with anger, but you remain calm, they suddenly see that the chaos was never in your hands. It was in theirs. When they try to provoke you, but you refuse to be moved, they feel the weight of their own behavior without anyone else to absorb it. When they throw accusations, insults, or emotional attacks, and you offer nothing in return, they are left staring at the emptiness of their own actions. This is uncomfortable for them. Your silence becomes a spotlight shining directly onto the parts of themselves they have ignored, denied, or refused to heal. It is much easier for a person to call you the problem, to pull you into an argument, to create a narrative where they are the victim and you are the villain. But your non-reaction takes away that storyline. It removes the fuel. It removes the justification. It removes the distraction. And in that moment, all they have left is themselves, their choices, their tone, their patterns, their unresolved hurt. Not reacting does not mean you do not feel. It means you feel deeply enough to know that responding would only sink you into their storm. It means you understand that meeting their chaos with your calm is the highest form of emotional intelligence. It means you honor your peace enough to protect it, even when someone else tries to destroy it. Some people are uncomfortable when they can no longer push your buttons. They may escalate, trying harder to trigger a reaction because your calm threatens the identity they built around conflict. Your stillness exposes how much of their behavior was never about you. It reveals the insecurity behind their anger, the fear behind their accusations, the wounds behind their outbursts. Your non-reaction becomes a truth they can no longer avoid. Eventually, one of two things happens. Either they realize their chaos is something they need to deal with, or they remove themselves because they cannot manipulate what they cannot control. Either way, you win. Your non-reaction also teaches people how to treat you. When someone sees that you no longer respond to provocation, they begin to approach you differently. They realize that drama has no power over you. They understand that emotional manipulation does not work on you. They learn that you cannot be controlled through conflict. And suddenly, the energy shifts. You are no longer someone they can easily pull into their storms. You become someone they must approach with respect, or not at all. It is important to understand that non-reaction is not about being silent forever or avoiding every difficult conversation. It is about choosing when and how to respond. It is about preserving your energy until the environment is calm enough for clarity. It is about refusing to speak from a wounded place when you can wait and speak from a wise one. It is about choosing to hold your power instead of handing it away in the heat of the moment. Non-reaction is strength disguised as restraint. It is wisdom wrapped in quiet. It is emotional maturity that whispers, "I see your chaos, but I will not let it become mine." It is the moment you stop allowing other people's emotions to control your own. It is the moment you realize that the loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. The strongest is the one who speaks only when it serves them, not when it serves someone else's drama. When you choose not to react, you choose peace over provocation. You choose clarity over confusion. You choose self-respect over emotional entanglement. And through that choice, you force others to face what they tried so hard to avoid, themselves. Your non-reaction becomes the turning point, the moment the chaos has nowhere left to go but back to its source. Not responding is often the most intelligent response. It is the decision to step outside the cycle of reaction that most people are trapped in. It is the recognition that not every comment, insult, or challenge deserves your energy. It is understanding that wisdom is not measured by how quickly you can respond, but by how carefully you choose what is worthy of a response at all. Many situations in life are designed to provoke you, drain you, or pull you into emotional battles that lead nowhere. When you choose not to respond, you choose clarity over chaos, and that choice is a mark of true intelligence. A response can cost you more than silence ever will. Words spoken in frustration, anger, or pressure often create consequences that are far heavier than the moment that triggered them. People forget that silence is not avoidance. Silence is strategy. It is the decision to protect yourself, your peace, and your dignity. When someone speaks to you with disrespect or tries to provoke you, responding only validates their behavior. It feeds their ego. It gives them the satisfaction of knowing they influenced your emotions. But when you choose not to respond, you take that power away. You show them that their words have no weight in your world. Not responding does not mean you lack a voice. It means you possess wisdom. There are moments when speaking would only deepen the wound or prolong the conflict. There are people who argue to win, not to understand. People who speak to damage, not to heal. People who listen only to reply, not to comprehend. Responding to them is like trying to teach a storm how to calm itself. It is pointless and exhausting. Intelligence lies in recognizing when your words will fall on deaf ears, when your explanation will be twisted, and when your truth will be wasted. Silence in these moments is not weakness, it is protection. It protects you from becoming entangled in unnecessary drama. It protects your mental clarity from being clouded by someone else's negativity. It protects your emotional balance from being shaken by conflict that does not serve your growth. Silence allows you to step back, observe the situation as it truly is, and choose a response based on wisdom rather than emotion. Sometimes the smartest response is giving yourself space until the noise around you settles. Not responding also reveals much about the intentions of others. When you choose silence, you see who grows uncomfortable. You see who escalates. You see who tries harder to provoke you. Their behavior tells you everything you need to know about their motives. A person who wants resolution will respect your quiet. A person who wants destruction will try to disrupt it. Your silence exposes what words could never reveal. It reveals character, intentions, emotional maturity, or the lack of it. There is a unique power in knowing you could respond, but choosing not to. It is the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is immediate, emotional, and often regrettable. Responding is thoughtful, intentional, and grounded. But not responding at all, that is mastery. That is the moment you realize some situations do not deserve a piece of your soul. Some people do not deserve your time. Some conversations do not deserve your voice. Intelligence also lies in knowing the value of your energy. Every reaction, every argument, every explanation costs you something. You cannot spend your life trying to make others understand you. You cannot waste your breath defending your truth to people committed to misunderstanding you. You cannot exhaust your mind on situations beneath your level of peace. Silence becomes a filter. It separates what deserves your presence from what deserves your absence. Not responding gives you control. It keeps your emotions in your hands instead of handing them over to someone else. It gives you time to reflect, to breathe, to recenter. In silence, you can hear your intuition more clearly. You can see the bigger picture. You can decide whether the situation truly needs your voice or whether it is better left behind. Many conflicts dissolve on their own when you do not fuel them with attention. Many people lose interest in provoking you when they realize you are no longer reactive. There is also a kind of confidence in silence. People who are secure within themselves do not need to respond to everything. They do not need to prove anything. They do not need to fight for validation or approval. Their peace becomes their priority, and silence becomes their language of strength. Responding to every opinion, every rumor, every insult, every challenge only shows that you are easily moved. Not responding shows that you are anchored. And perhaps the greatest intelligence behind not responding is this: it shows that you are focused on what truly matters. Life is too short to pour energy into meaningless conflicts or temporary emotions. Your path is too important to be disrupted by distractions. Your mind is too precious to be filled with noise. By choosing not to respond, you choose yourself. You choose wisdom. You choose growth. You choose peace. Not responding is not about silence. It is about sovereignty. The sovereignty of your emotions, your energy, your direction. It is choosing what deserves your voice and what deserves your silence. And in many moments, silence speaks far louder than any words ever could. Your energy is sacred. Do not waste it on those who do not value it. Your energy is the life force that shapes your experiences, fuels your growth, and determines the quality of the world you build within yourself. Yet too often, people give this precious, irreplaceable energy to situations, relationships, and conflicts that drain them rather than nourish them. They pour themselves into people who take without gratitude, demand without giving, and expect without appreciating. But with time, wisdom reveals a powerful truth. Your energy is not something to be handed out freely. It is something to be protected with intention. You learn that not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves your time, your thoughts, your emotional investment, or your presence. Some people come into your life not to uplift you, but to use you as a source of distraction from their own emptiness. Some approach you not because they value you, but because they value what you can do for them. And some take your kindness as weakness, your empathy as availability, and your patience as permission to drain you without giving anything in return. This is why you must treat your energy like something sacred. You must choose where it flows, who it touches, and how much of it you give. When you forget the sacredness of your energy, you start allowing people to take pieces of your peace. You start letting situations disturb your balance. You start giving too much to those who give too little, and slowly you begin to dim, not because your light is gone, but because you have allowed too many hands to touch the flame. Your energy is not for everyone. You are allowed to pull back. You are allowed to say no without guilt. You are allowed to step away from people who consistently take you for granted. Protecting your energy does not mean you stop loving others. It means you start loving yourself with the same compassion you offer to everyone else. There will be people who do not understand this change. People who once relied on your endless giving may accuse you of being distant or unkind once you begin setting boundaries. But understand this deeply. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries will always see boundaries as an offense. That is not your problem. It is simply a sign that you are learning to protect what was never meant to be given away so freely. Your energy is sacred because it influences everything: your mood, your decisions, your relationships, your dreams, your mental peace. When you give it to those who do not value it, you begin to feel depleted. You begin to feel small. You begin to feel disconnected from yourself. But when you give it to the right people, it multiplies. It expands. It feeds you instead of draining you. It strengthens you instead of weakening you. Learning to guard your energy means learning to recognize the signs of an emotional thief. It means noticing when conversations consistently leave you exhausted rather than uplifted. It means becoming aware of people who only come to you when they need something, but disappear when you are the one in need. It means seeing clearly when someone drains your spirit with their negativity, manipulation, or constant demands. You learn that it is not your job to heal everyone. It is not your responsibility to save people who do not want to save themselves. It is not your duty to pour endlessly into people who never pour back into you. You cannot light someone else's darkness if they are committed to keeping the flame out. You cannot fix someone who enjoys being broken. You cannot carry people who refuse to walk. Your energy is too sacred to be wasted on effort that goes nowhere. And you must remember this. You teach people how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. When you honor your energy, others learn to honor it too. When you set boundaries, people respect them or fall away, and either outcome is a blessing. When you no longer tolerate disrespect, inconsistency, or emotional recklessness, your life becomes a space where peace can thrive. Protecting your energy also means choosing environments that align with your spirit. It means surrounding yourself with people who value you, who uplift you, who help you grow. It means spending time in places that inspire you, not drain you. It means investing in habits that strengthen your mind and emotions. It means choosing conversations that bring clarity instead of confusion. It means staying away from arguments designed to lower your frequency. It means valuing silence when the world gets loud. Your energy is sacred because it is connected to your purpose. When you waste it on people who do not value it, you delay your own growth. You delay your own healing. You delay your own potential. But when you protect it, you become unstoppable. You become focused, grounded, and empowered. You begin to pour your energy into dreams instead of drama, into healing instead of hurting, into growth instead of grief. There is beauty in learning to be selective with your energy. It means you are growing. It means you are waking up to your worth. It means you are no longer available for every call, every conflict, every expectation placed upon you. You are choosing yourself, not selfishly, but wisely. Your energy is sacred, so give it where it is celebrated, not tolerated. Give it where it is appreciated, not exploited. Give it where it grows, not where it goes to die. Value your energy and you will transform your life. Protect your energy and you will protect your peace. Share your energy wisely. And you will surround yourself with people who value you deeply, not for what you give, but for who you are. Because when you finally understand how sacred your energy truly is, you will never again waste it on those who do not value it. There comes a moment in every person's life when they are invited, sometimes pushed, into emotional battles that serve no purpose but to drain their dignity and diminish their light. These moments often masquerade as confrontations, misunderstandings, or the careless words of someone who hasn't learned how to carry their own pain. And when bitterness is placed in front of you, dripping with accusation or coated with hostility, your first instinct may be to defend yourself, to push back, to meet the fire with your own flame. But there is a deeper wisdom, a more refined strength in choosing not to mirror the darkness someone else is wrestling with. Grace is not passive. It is not silence born of fear or avoidance. It is the deliberate decision to keep your spirit clean even when someone else's spirit is spilling over with resentment, anger, or unprocessed wounds. It is choosing not to inhale the smoke of another person's emotional fire. When someone approaches you with bitterness, it often has very little to do with you. You may simply be the safest target, the nearest outlet, or the person standing closest to the storm they have not yet learned to calm within themselves. If you respond in kind, if you allow their bitterness to provoke bitterness in you, you hand them the power to dictate the terms of your emotions. Refusing to match someone's bitterness is the act of reclaiming that power. It means standing firmly in the truth of who you are while allowing their anger to pass through the space around you without contaminating your heart. It is spiritual maturity, emotional discipline, and deep self-respect all woven together. This kind of grace does not rise from weakness. It rises from clarity. You understand that not every invitation to conflict requires your attendance. Not every comment deserves your breath. Not every challenge deserves your spirit. Bitterness is contagious, but so is grace. When someone attacks you with cruelty and you respond with composure, you introduce a new energy into the conversation, one that they did not expect and might not know how to handle. You interrupt the cycle. You break the rhythm of hostility. You become the boundary that their negativity cannot cross. And even if they continue to push, your refusal to react shows them that your spirit is not accessible to every passing emotion. It teaches them that your peace is not a playground for their wounds. This refusal is not about pretending you don't feel hurt. It is not about suppressing your emotions or pretending to be above human experience. It is about choosing the location of your response. You do not respond from the heat of reaction, but from the coolness of wisdom. You choose not to let someone else's turbulence decide your internal weather. When bitterness meets grace, bitterness has nowhere to grow. It cannot escalate. It cannot feed on your energy. It dissolves or returns to its owner, but it does not take root in you. There will be people who believe that responding with grace means letting others get away with disrespect. But grace is not the absence of boundaries. It is the presence of powerful ones. When you choose grace over bitterness, you are strengthening your boundaries, not weakening them. You are showing that your spirit cannot be manipulated by provocation. You are demonstrating that your emotional equilibrium is not up for negotiation. You are letting them know, without raising your voice, that your peace is protected by something far stronger than anger, self-awareness. You will notice that people who expect you to react with anger often become uncomfortable when you don't. They become louder, sharper, more insistent, because bitterness thrives on confrontation. It needs a reaction to survive. When you remove that reaction, you take away its oxygen. And in that moment, the one who tried to provoke you is forced to face what they were trying to avoid, their own internal turmoil. Grace has a way of holding up a mirror. When you refuse to match their bitterness, you illuminate it, you reveal it, and they are left with the opportunity to reflect on where it comes from. Grace elevates you. When you rise above someone's bitterness, you are rising above their attempts to control your emotional tone. You remain rooted in your own values, your own truth, your own sense of rightness. You walk through the world knowing that your spirit does not have to shrink or sharpen to meet someone else's wounds. You can stay open, calm, compassionate, and strong without becoming entangled in their chaos. Your spirit is too precious to be thrown into every conflict. You were not created to be shaped by the sharpness of others. You were created to grow, to expand, to radiate, and to evolve. So when bitterness reaches for you, let it find nothing to latch onto. Let it fall away at the edges of your dignity. Let the grace within you become the shield that protects your energy and the mirror that reveals the truth. You will discover that the more you practice this kind of grace, the more peace you cultivate within yourself. Your mind becomes quieter, your heart becomes lighter, your days become more spacious. You are not carrying the weight of unnecessary battles or the emotional residue of other people's storms. You walk through life with a softness that does not break and a strength that does not shout. Refusing to match bitterness is not an act you perform for others. It is an act of devotion to yourself. It is a promise you make to your spirit that you will not sacrifice your tranquility for the sake of temporary satisfaction. You understand that the strongest person in any room is the one who does not allow external noise to disturb their internal harmony. The highest form of grace is a quiet, unwavering choice to let others keep their bitterness and to keep your spirit untouched. There will always be noise in this world. There will always be voices calling you into conflict, into drama, into darkness. But you were not born to live in the shadows of others' storms. You were born to stand in the light of your own strength. So the next time negativity reaches for you, remember this. Grace is not what you say or how loudly you say it. Grace is the peace you protect by refusing to step into the war. Walk away with your head high, your heart steady, and your spirit sovereign, because nothing is more powerful than the grace of not engaging.